Most of you will not know why I'm standing here today. All of you by now probably realize I'm a speaker. A lot of you asked me, what are you going to talk about? And I did not want to give you an answer. Because I want to make an example. In here, roughly 15 people knows what I'm going to talk about. And one person understands why I want to talk about it. That's a pretty good example of how men hide their mental health. We say, I'm fine, good, great, never been better. Even when we're not. Men go far to paint a picture of themselves as always being okay, never truly showing an emotion to the world. I did that for a long time too. Actually, I still do. It's a defense mechanism. We lie to ourselves. We don't need help. We can handle it by ourselves. We don't need the help. I didn't need help. I was 8, 9, or 10. It doesn't really matter. My parents had divorced half a year earlier, and school was not going great. Sensitive. That was the word grown-ups used about me. It exaggerated the feeling that I'd had for half a year that I was powerless. So how could I protect my mom now that she was alone? And even more importantly, how could she protect me? I thought about this all the time. This the only thought I could imagine being worse than divorce was the death of my parents. My parents, as great as they are, started to pressure me on this. On why I cried, why I wouldn't eat, why I could not fall asleep without looking at them. This was good. It was obvious I wasn't happy. But I'm a stubborn person who fell victim to the way society paints men as non-emotional, non-expressive, silent, strong men. So I did, as I had unknowingly been taught. I refused to tell my mom why I was sad, which made her sad, her own son believing he couldn't express emotions to her. Well, all of this chaos one day comes to a tipping point. My head is running and I won't tell my mom why. So she puts a bit of pressure on me. But I want out. At this moment in my kitchen, with mom standing in front of me. So I go to grab the big kitchen knife and I point it here. Because I want these feelings to stop. Today, I don't have a scar here, because I did not press through with my attempt, but way too many men do. The numbers for suicide and suicide attempts are really imprecise, since so many of them are never counted. Mine wasn't, because I don't have a scar here. Despite that fact, we know it's the third biggest threat to a man's life if they're between 14 and 47 in the whole world. If you only look at higher income countries, it becomes the #1 threat to a man's life. This is especially a problem for men, where suicide kills 3 times more than women. The reasons for this are plentiful, but some studies pinpoint it to 3 major things. 1, going unemployed for a long time. Society and men expect it from themselves to be the breadwinner in the family, to provide. This comes from the social idea that women can give birth and take care of children. So what can men do? Well, back in the day, they could provide. But that's changing, which is really good. But many men still believe they should be the provider of the family. So when they go unemployed for a long time, they start drinking. They lash out in anger for no apparent reason. Some even ending their life at the bottom of that bottle. Second reason is splitting with a long-time partner. Men are notorious for being non-emotional. But studies show that when they have a long-time partner, They become majorly dependent on that person. This is quite obvious if you look at the 5 big personality traits. Men rank themselves high in extroversion, but low in agreeableness, being less likely to show compassion or trust in others. So when that trust is broken, they have no one. They isolate themselves. Talk to no one about it. The third reason is physical abuse in the childhood. Physical abuse can send little children who become emotionally disconnected men who over and over and over again blames themselves for all the self-harming feeling they have. It can also become complex PTSD. We have all the symptoms of PTSD combined with feeling a major disconnect from your emotions. All these factors have a tendency to lead to drug or alcohol misuse. It leads to lashing out in anger, which make people draw away from them, which is a huge problem, since these are cries for help that are way too often never heard. Social norms is an ongoing theme here. They restrict men from opening up. This is shown quite clearly in any statistics done on psychologists or psychiatrists who attend them, where the number of men is far lower than the number of women. When men then do seek help, they are way too often never diagnosed with the depression they might be having. So the clinical definition of what a depression is still based on women. Studies into men's mental health was not started before the 2000s. Men were taught when they were boys to play football, play rough, do a hard tackle, while women sat inside, playing with dolls maybe, talking, getting taught how to agree. If boys had a problem on the football field, they were left to fight it out, because nobody was even looking. This led them to have no tools to compromise, not having the ability to open up. They do not even have a language for it. So what do we do? Well, for my own story, it ended there. My mom telling me to never do that again. And then we were gonna get me some help. That help was supposed to come from a psychologist, but since I don't have a scar here, I was not put in for time before February. And I was struggling now in October. So my parents went together, despite their dislike for each other, and helped me, gave me the tools to talk, gave me the ability to open up. They taught me how to handle when I'm having a hard time. I stand in front of you today, not as somebody on top. The thought of suicide still comes to me from time to time. Last time this January. If this should be it, if my life should be over now. But no, I have a story to tell, which I'm telling right now. And here last I have a plea, that all of you help me teach men how to open up. It will not be easy, and many will refuse. But let them know you're there. Teach your boys that emotions are part of life they should embrace and not be shameful about. 17. That's the number of people who have committed suicide during my talk. It means that out there are people to those 17 for the rest of their life have to live with that suicide. I for sure still live with mine. I don't have a scar here. And every morning I'm thankful I don't. 17. That's a really big number. I believe that if we allow men to open up, it can get just a little bit closer to 0. Thank you.